There we go. I'm Dr. Erin Feitstinger. My pronouns are she, her. I'm the policy director here at the Women's Fund of Omaha. And I'm super excited for this particular session. The way forward for all of us is in community, and when we collectively work toward a future that centers those most marginalized, we can dismantle the systems that were never set up for us to begin with. And we do not thrive in those systems, we thrive in community. So today's time is to build community, collective power together. We'll discuss self care and community care, how we can be ushers to the future we want to see for all Nebraskans, and how we not only get through this next session, but continue to show up to demand more and better from public policymakers. Like I said on the last call, this is not my area of expertise. So I am very excited to have two truly amazing human beings with us today to help lead us through this. One is Maureen Hornacek, who's taking a break from nature class with her preschoolers to talk to us today, which sounds like a delightful way to do self-care, quite honestly. And Tina Han Rodriguez from Black and Pink, who's also one of our who's also an excellent Replenish trainer. So those are the two who are going to be leading us forward. I'm gonna turn it over to Tina for a short exercise before we start. Over to Maureen to talk about her experience in the last session, how she practiced care and built community in a really upsetting upsetting session is the best way to say it. And then back to Tina to lead us through a much longer exercise. So I will turn it over to you, Tina.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Hey, everyone. Tina, she, her, hers. Like Erin said, I am a deputy director at Black and Pink National, and I am a Replenish facilitator, which is a program that is facilitated by the Women's Fund. So just get a little tiny taste of the things we talk about when we do Replenish sessions. I'm joined today by my colleague Andrew Aliman, who's having some Wi-Fi issues, but he should be joining us, and he's going to take us through that collective care or community care model. So my focus is going to be on self-care, like the personal things that you can do to take care of yourself, and Andrew's going to think about kind of the bigger picture, that collective care. So thank you so much for being with us. I did want to start us off with just a quick meditation this morning. I know that when we think about mindfulness, it can be intimidating, right? You're like, nobody has 10 minutes to sit and be silent. This is 1 minute. So just give me the 1 minute, okay? I'm going to encourage everyone to turn your cameras off. Okay, so let's just get those cameras turned off. All right, wherever you are sitting, please make your body as comfortable as possible. So feet on the ground, sitting up nice and straight in a comfortable way. All right, think about relaxing your muscles and really grounding yourself into the chair, whatever it is that you're sitting on. Go ahead and close your eyes for me and take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale out through the mouth. Another deep breath in through the nose. And then breathing out through the mouth. So breathe in for me, and I want you to feel your lungs expanding. Breathe out, feeling a sense of letting go. Breathing in through the nose to feel the body getting fuller. Breathing out to feel the release of any tension. Breathing in through your nose, feeling alive and awake. Breathing out, feeling your muscles relaxing. One more deep breath in, thinking about that sense of fullness when our lungs and our diaphragm expand. And exhale, breathing out any unnecessary tension. Go ahead and take one hand and set it just right on your belly and give me one more deep breath in through the nose. Think about lifting that hand and exhale and let it all go. Go ahead and open your eyes. If you feel comfortable turning your camera back on, please do. And welcome back into this space. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for that quick 1-minute meditation. I'm going to pass it over to Maureen.
Hi, everybody. I am Maureen Hornacek, and I had the good fortune of getting to be family friends with Aaron Feichtinger quite a few years ago. I'll just tell you a little bit about my story and how I got to this kind of policy piece. Married, 3 kids, live here in Omaha. I grew up in Omaha. I have been a preschool teacher for 11 years, which is my dream job. Nothing I ever thought I would be doing, but talk about bringing me so much joy. But when we had the governor election, and we knew that Governor Ricketts had some opinions that were not favorable to our family about the transgender community. And when Governor Pillen ran his campaign pretty vocally, also anti-trans community, I kind of mentally prepared way back then that I might need to get a little more involved than just from the sidelines. And so I kind of waited. I decided to take that school year off so that regardless of what happened or what kind of got thrown at us, my intention was just to make sure that I was available for my kid. And it became pretty clear that we were going to have to do more than that. So with Erin's guidance, she kind of let us know what was happening in the legislature. And because of some of the work that my husband does, he got connected with some other advocacy groups as well as the Women's Fund. And he decided to testify to oppose the legislation against the trans community this last legislative session. And it turned into a press conference and all the things. And it became very clear that we needed to show up, that we couldn't just support our kid at home, but that we needed to be pretty vocal with the policies that were unnecessary and discriminatory and all the things. So at first it was my husband and I, and of course somebody has to work in the family. So I just kept showing up at the Capitol. And in the meantime, I was texting everyone that I knew that was an ally to the LGBT community and emailing and pretty much on a for sure weekly basis, just to update with what things were happening, what we were hearing, what we were singing or seeing. And besides the discrimination happening with the LGBT community, there were a lot of things that really opened my eyes to the policies that were coming to the legislature. So although the bills for the trans community got me there, I don't think I can go back to not paying attention. There were so many measures brought forth that were not kind, that were again discriminatory, and I just thought, nope, I'm not going back to my normal everyday life and not pay attention to this, because we have to show up. And in showing up, we met other families that were paying attention, and we exchanged phone numbers and emails, which was I wouldn't say like super far out of my comfort zone, but it was very strange. It became this very strange environment to go into this, capital where I assumed people would um make laws that were going to take care of the greater good, and they weren't. And so we met two or three other families, and those families had met other people, and we just showed up for one another, um, in hugs, in texts, in resources, in just sharing knowledge. And there were so many questions in the middle of the session, and we'd be, one person's down at the glass doors and other people are up in the balcony, and we just were texting like, what's happening? What are you hearing down there? What's happening up here? And just really sharing a lot of information. And then at the end of the day, we might share a meal. And it was really the thing that kind of got us all through for that care piece. And we built a community. And there's about 10 families now, and then a few kind of fringe families, but we talk weekly, and we've shared meals. We just went to the River City Mixed Chorus concert together. There was 15 of us on Saturday night, and we just knew that we couldn't do it alone. And during the session, like I said, when I was sending out all those emails and texts, I knew that Mike's and my voice were important, and we needed to keep doing that. But I needed a lot of voices. So I sent those out to my church community, to our friend community, our family community, because I needed hundreds of voices to talk about that this is not what Nebraska wants for our kids and for women. And it really was awesome. And I have heard it has had an effect. The bills didn't necessarily go the way we wanted them to, but I just think it got everyone realizing how much we need to pay attention. And the beautiful piece of all that awfulness was that we created this community. And I think that was an even bigger message for our kids, that there's all these families that support them, and they know it, from a very physical, intentional way. So it was pretty cool. In that work, we made meals, for the senators and for other policy people. And for me, not knowing what to do in that situation, that did bring me joy, because it was necessary, and it was showing a kindness that we weren't necessarily feeling ourselves. And it was great. It was something that we could do. I got way off track there, Erin. Some of the other things that we did was in the resources, we shared about things that were going to happen if those bills passed, and resources of organizations that were going to be able to help those families, whether it passed or didn't pass. And it's still going. The other thing, once the session ended, that we knew we needed to keep doing the work, was we created these legislature 101s. And again, it was an advocacy piece that Erin helped us with, but we knew that we needed to get more people involved to build our community of allies and advocates. And I don't know, we did maybe 5 or 6 of them with around 20 people there. And we just invited our friends or our family, our neighbors, and made it kind of a social thing, but we were all learning together and to continue to support one another. So that's been great. We kind of created some women's collectives in different parts of town, that we thought people maybe weren't as engaged. And so those are happening, which has been good. And in those women's collectives, we're supporting candidates. We're doing lots of things, supporting some of the petitions that we want to have happen here in Nebraska. And it's again just been a very supportive, caring piece um, that was kind of lacking for me anyway. So I think that's where we're at. That was the positive for me. And then throughout that time, I would share with some of the other moms that we were working with what I was doing to protect myself through it all, and they would share. And as I said, I was a preschool teacher. I stepped back in this year just 2 days a month to do this nature class because I knew I needed to find some joy in all the yuckiness. And some of the other gals had some other things in their past and they were able to bring things to the table. So we would just talk and laugh and talk about digging in the dirt, which again, for me, kind of weird, I know, but brings me so much joy. Gardening and just kind of keeping that going. So
Thank you. So, can you all hear me all right?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Maureen. And actually, you inspired Tina and I to swap places. And I'm going to share first because it's a perfect segue into a lot of what you talked about in regards to community and the impact and lean that comes through community. And so if it's all right with everybody, Tina and I are going to flip-flop because you really set the stage for us. So thank you. Today I want to talk to us all kind of about just community healing and just what comes from community healing in this work is so challenging. And Maureen did such a beautiful job of talking about the way that you all came together. And I can just see from your face and your emotions that had a life lasting impact on you. And so, yeah, thank you for sharing those pieces. So things I want us to highlight today is thinking about, first of all, a trauma-informed approach to community healing. And also, we're going to talk just a little bit about community care. I've learned that in doing this work, my background is in social work. Also, I'm in a coffee shop and I know it's really loud. So if you all can't hear me, please let me know. Okay. Oh, never mind.
It's not loud at all, Andrew. You're good.
It's super quiet in here. Yeah. So I've learned in doing this work, my background is in social work, that folks that are doing policy work or work that intersects with the legislature don't always have a lot of like training or access to like what trauma informed means, right? Like we're always having to put it in bills, we're always having to talk about it in our approach, but ever is like, here's what that means, here's what that looks like. So there's 5 like important tenets to what trauma informed means, and I'm going to drop a little link. It's of course a social work link, because that's what I do. Okay, put in the chat here. That you can take a peek at later if you would like. So when we talk about trauma informed, we think about safety, we think about choice, or I say autonomy, collaboration, trustworthiness or trust, and empowerment. And so anytime that we are working to engage people that are most impacted in this work, it's really important for us to think about all of those pieces, right? Are we keeping in mind their safety? Are we making sure that they have choice and autonomy in the way that they want to engage, the way in which they don't want to engage? Collaboration. It should not be us saying, here's what you need to say, here's what you need to do. Really allowing people to tell their story in the way that it impacts them, and in the way that they want to tell and share their story. All of that should help build trust and trustworthiness, but trust is everything, right? And then empowerment, empowerment and skill building. So when we're in them, I always think about what are we offering? How are we ensuring that we are helping folks that get involved create skills or some sort of empowerment? You know, and Maureen, you talked a lot about this and what you shared of you all were really empowered to get together and build a community of people that are taking action through what you experienced on a very personal level with your family um, turned into even more action, right? And you learn new skills of how to engage and what that looks like. And so that's a perfect example of when we're engaging people, we want, they should be leaving with just as much as we are gaining from their involvement, right? And that's really important for us to think about. Those of you that know me well, I also didn't introduce myself. I'm really sorry. I was trying to go. Andrew Aliman, he, him nouns. As I mentioned, my background is social work. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I am a deputy executive director of Black and Pink National and do a lot of other consulting work. So y'all have seen me around, most of you probably. But those of you that know me well know that I often say relationship is an intervention. So the pure act of building a relationship with people is an intervention. It's healing, there's healing powers in relationship. And so that's something that we always need to be committed to and mindful of. And that always makes me think about community care, right? So what is community care? What does that look like? And I'm gonna put a little bit of, I'm gonna give a couple examples before I switch off. Okay, just another little link in the chat. But thinking about community care. So that means things like mutual aid, healing circles. Community care has historically been innate for communities of color, right? We have seen practices like doulas, indigenous practices, faith practices, healing circles, all those sort of things are different ways of community care, right? Peer support, mutual aid. So when we think about on a legislative viewpoint of how we are connecting people and getting them involved, that community care piece is just as important. And we saw this through in 2020 or 2019, when I was working at the Nebraska Coalition Against Sexual and Domestic Violence. One of the things that I talked to Lisa about, and at the time Megan, was that we had a lot of people coming to testify and telling their stories, and there weren't people to support them. So we were asking them to do this, take on this really heavy burden and their trauma, and they were like, "Thanks, we'll see you later," right? And so that's when we started doing the Comfort Buddies, right? And that is a form of community care, right? We have people that we're ensuring are around and able to support, and that's why that is important. In 2020, I held healing circles during the summer of 2020, and you know, especially the Black community was really hurting. And so I held different healing circles for specifically LGBTQ people of color. And that is one of the ways that we were able to talk about approaches and policy approaches and activism and all those sort of things and still doing the work, but also just heal together, right? Talk. What are ways that we can implement that into our practices as we continue to move forward in these really tough, difficult political legislative times. And then lastly, another format of this is a wellness retreat. And Tina's gonna talk a little more about like the individual care and how do we take care of ourselves. But we held a wellness retreat recently for the folks that are a part of the community of practice through the Women's Fund. And that was a really powerful moment to take people in the work and invest in them today, right? So really pushing organizations, employers, whatever that looks like, to value that time for people to heal, for people to really be grounded, and making that a priority. And we chose to do it in a community format. So we focused on joy. Maureen, I know you talked about you wanted to experience joy. The theme of our retreat was joy. And we created a structure of, inviting joy, experiencing and sustaining joy. And so really encouraging opportunities for us to not only fight together, but for us to heal together is just as important. And so those community care pieces are essential as we move into this work, and sustain in this work, because y'all, it is rough out here. So yeah, take care of your people, take care of your community. If you remember anything, please remember that relationship is an intervention. And I want to turn it over to Tina, that we and hopefully have some time for questions at the end of folks happening.
Absolutely. Fight together and heal together, and relationship is an intervention. Those are amazing gems already. Thank you so much, Andrew. So when we think about community care, I think one of the most important things to keep in mind is that we cannot pour from an empty cup. I'm sure you've all heard that saying many, many times. And it is so important to fill your cup up however you can. And there are lots and lots of different ways. I did have a quote I wanted to share by Cleo Wade. She says, oftentimes when the world feels chaotic, we begin to feel as if it is somehow inappropriate to have joy. Have your joy. Joy is a form of radical self-care. Joy energizes us to take on even the most difficult circumstances. When we have joy, especially in the midst of challenging times, we are saying to the world, I will define the current state of the world around me instead of allowing it to define me. Today, regardless of what is happening, empower yourself by embracing your joy. And I really feel that. I think I have had some guilt these past few weeks about not, being in a place where I'm experiencing war. Having a lot of privilege, having a lot of access. And I think we can start to feel really guilty about having joy. And we have to shift our relationship with joy and see that as a part of our revolution. It is a part of our activism, our joy is. So one thing I wanted us to take some time to talk about today is, what's a daily practice that you have that centers your joy? So one thing that you do by yourself for yourself is really important, by yourself for yourself, that centers your joy. So one thing that I've been doing, and those of you who have been with me have heard this before, is I started drinking an Olipop with a little bit of cherry juice before bed, because it helps. I guess it's supposed to kick up your natural melatonin. I don't know if that's true. But I'm sleeping well. Yes, Tia, I think tried it too. You do have to be careful with the Olipop because it has a lot of fiber. So that is my disclaimer for you. It can upset your tummy if you're not careful. But that's just 15 minutes that I take for myself in peace and quiet. I drink my little drink, and it makes me feel better, and it's good for me. That's one daily practice that I have. And I'm going to get some breakout rooms together. Don't worry, I'll tell you what to do. But while I'm doing that, I'm going to ask Maureen to share what her daily joy practice is.
I'm glad you gave me the disclaimer before, because it's something that I'm actually not very good at. But I would say in the past month, and it's very silly, but I wrote the word breathe on Post-it notes, and I put them in different places in our house, because I realized in doing this work this last several months that I would go to a meeting and meet with these senators, or be typing up an email to these people that I knew essentially weren't listening to me anyway. And I wasn't breathing. I would literally like hold my breath for the full 30 minutes or 45 minutes and then wonder why I felt like crud for 3 days afterwards. And so I had to become aware of what was happening. So I just breathe on these bright pink Post-it notes.
I love that. It's important to remind yourself to breathe. Okay, so I'm going to put y'all in breakout rooms. They are not recorded, FYI. All you have to do is to click join room and it will automatically bring you back at the end of the time. So in breakout rooms, if you would introduce yourself, name, pronouns, and then one daily practice that you engage in that centers your joy. Okay. All right, let me check the time here. Make sure I have the time set up. Okay, there you all go. Go ahead and join your room. Oh, I tried to leave the co-host out. Oh, no, I did. Perfect. All right, thanks, y'all. Lauren stepped away for a moment.
Sorry, I did, and then I hit the wrong
Oh, no,
button.
you're good.
Going to the
You're
right
good,
room.
Lauren, no worries. It's nice to see you.
It won't let me go to a different room now, so I'll just
Okay, let me
hang here.
see. No, I can put you somewhere. Hold on one second. Let me check it out here. There you go. How's that?
Did you want us to join rooms, Tina?
No, you're good. You're good. You can just chill.
This is
here.
such a good reminder. I need to find, I do like a weekly thing, right? Like try to do it once a week, but now I need to turn it into
You're
a
like,
daily
yeah, you're like,
situation.
once a week I spend 10 minutes doing something for myself.
Yeah,
That's not a lot of time, Erin, when you think about all the other things
I
you put out
know.
into the
I
world.
know.
It's hard to do it every day though. It's really hard.
Yeah.
Well, I just need to find like the little thing like you,
The
where
little
like the
things.
one thing, because I don't know, I always try to make sure that I spend like 15 minutes at least drawing with Lola, like doing
Oh, I
arts
love
and
that.
crafts. But that's not really like me, and she usually ends up cutting up the paper at the end, so I don't know. But she's a little terror sometimes. But I've started learning the drums. I mean, that's been doing that for 2 years, and I'm
Oh,
still
that's
very,
awesome.
very bad at it. But
Yeah.
nothing like taking that rage and just turning it into a crash cymbal, I guess.
Yeah. Turning it into
Actually,
music.
that's one of the things when I work with teens that I help them kind of think about. It's like, what do you want to do when you're angry? And so for the ones that are want to like hit something or break something, I'm like, okay, so for you, like something tactile is going to be really important for like you're like calming down or you're chilling, is you're going to need like something tactile. So it's good to know.
Yeah.
Like if you want to beat something, that means like drums and
Hmm.
punching bags or all sorts of different things would be the tactile thing.
Yeah.
say this on the whole
be
big
good.
group, but I started ironing. Oh, like ironing. What the hell am I doing? Grandma Agnes over here.
I love it.
I found myself like 3 times this fall just ironing.
Oh, that's funny.
Love that. That's the first time I've heard that. I'm that one. I like it.
That's
Thanks.
And it's also like super productive too.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Yeah, except for really, Andrew, I would just have worn the shirts wrinkly before.
My dad used to do that. That would be like his thing in the morning, like 4 kids running around trying to get ready for school, and my dad would just disappear for like 15 minutes, and he was downstairs ironing everything, like our
Oh my
school
gosh.
uniforms, his work clothes, like everything. And that was his way of like, I'm going to freak out at all of you, and so I need to go downstairs and iron. And he still does it. Like I saw it just last week. I went downstairs. I was like, "What are you doing? You don't even work anymore." He's ironing all of his wife's clothes. I was like, "Fine."
You know, I should be like a 96-year-old person.
Well,
You just turn
my
it into like a side business.
yeah,
When you're really stressed, just start taking some clients. You're just
I
ironing
didn't say I
their
was
stuff
good
and
at it,
making money.
Andrew. I just do it.
you should just they used to. It's like a what do they call that? I should know this with my PhD in history. But like a cottage industry or something like that, where you would, like communities would before you wouldn't take your thing to the laundromat. You'd take it to the local person who would iron it, and they'd bring it back. Or you needed some sewing done, you'd go to this person. Like that's so you can just be that. I know all the other moms probably have their skills. Jill's an art therapist, so she's got that. Lori's got a whole farm with chickens and donkeys, so and a calming lake.
Yeah, we still need to get Lola there.
I know. I mean, that really was fantastic. Andrew, I did one of these Legislature 101 trainings for them out at one of the other moms who has a trans kid, and she just lives in Ashland on like a little farm and has like donkeys, turkeys, cats, dogs, everything, and
Emu.
an emu. Yeah.
They have 2
Is
now.
that there's a teacher that was just at, or a school counselor that was just at the inclusivity camp that she has like a farm, and she was talking about having like people come to the farm sometimes, and they have chickens and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
We're
I would love that. I would like to just, I mean, I'm very much an urban person. Not in the direct, just like I genuinely like urban density and people and like places to go. But sometimes when I like drive through Ashland or I'm out in the Sandhills, I'm like, I could do this and not speak to another person for until I have to like drive to North Platte to the Costco. Like, I mean, just that's it's the
They have a
only time
Costco
I
in
see
North
someone.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I don't
I think we're gonna run
but
some camps there this
I
summer.
support it.
Ooh, some camps in North Platte.
No,
No.
at the farm, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I would go. Unless it's
Yeah.
for kids, in which case I'll bring my 4-year-old and she can go, but I'll also be there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we're gonna
All
try to
right.
do all the things.
Perfect.
We have 53 seconds, and I will ask folks to share in the chat. And then I will just talk about some personal sustainability practices. That will probably take us right to 10 till 1, and then we can open it up for any
Okay.
questions, comments, concerns. Does that sound good? All right, welcome back, everybody. Oh, I see you turned your cameras on. I love it. I love it. You got in small groups and we're like, okay, I'll let you see my face. All right, let's see if everyone is back. We have a couple rooms that are still busy, still out there, so we'll just wait another minute. All right, there we go. Thank you so much, everyone, for your small group conversations. Now that you're back, I would love for you to drop in the chat your daily joy ritual. And I would suggest that you all just kind of read those, look, see if there's anything that jumps out to you. And if you don't have a daily joy ritual, that's okay. This is just your invitation to start to do something for yourself every single day. So Erin's practicing the drums. I love it. Going to the gym. Absolutely. Praising God. 5 minutes of quiet and coffee. I love it. Stretching. Oh my gosh, stretching is so important, y'all. So many good ideas here. Cooking and diffusing essential oils. I love it. A nice long hug, Melissa, right? Yes, Andrew loves to kiki on the phone. You're like my phone friend. All right, thank you so much, everyone. So a couple things that I think are really important to note is that when we talk about self-sustainability, we have to be really honest with ourselves that we cannot be well in a society that is this sick. And so it's about just finding a place for you that feels good, that keeps you going. We cannot self-care our way out of capitalism, white supremacy, and the patriarchy. So I do not by any means want to transfer the burden onto you. That's not what personal sustainability is about. All right. It is about, though, giving yourself permission to experience joy. Self-care is an act of resistance. Not just accepting the status quo, knowing that we want more, not just for ourselves, but for everyone. There are not enough bubble baths that you can take that can fix all of this. So I do not want to make it seem like there are certain things that you can do that are going to fix it. And I also, like I said, I just don't want to burden you all more than what you already have. So personal sustainability practices are just about investing in yourself, loving in yourself, trying to make sure that you can live to fight another day and avoiding burnout. There are different kinds, and I just want to do a quick little overview, and I will drop all of this in the chat for you so that you feel like you are getting the information. Okay, so the first one is awakening and awareness. So how am I doing? How am I feeling? What do I need? Genuinely checking in with yourself, okay? We don't have an unlimited amount of adrenaline, and our personal resources are finite. So, taking note of what is input for you and what is output for you. If you do not enjoy cooking, that is output. Okay. If you love it, if it fills your cup, that's input. There's just one example of kind of the difference between those two things. So awakening and awareness, honestly paying attention to yourself. The second is recovery, internal and external breaks. Okay. It's not about how much we can endure, but how well you take breaks. How well do you rest? Risma Menachem recently said, don't stop looking for epiphanies, but start looking for those half-second moments. I always like to remind folks gently that rest is a requirement. It is not a reward. You cannot earn rest. You just get it. It is yours to have every day. So please take care of yourself, rest, sleep, have a healthy sleeping practice. All right. We can't deal with all this, BS and be exhausted all the time. The next sustainability practice that I want you all to be thinking about is restoration. So bringing your nervous system back to stasis. That's different for all of us. Biology focused. For me, folks know like exercise first thing in the day is the one thing that keeps me going. If I can kick my own butt right away, then nobody else can really hurt me. So thinking about, what are the things that restore your nervous system, your mind, your heart, and your soul? It's times with friends, times with family, whatever that is. Rejuvenation is like flourishing rather than languishing. What are your positivity practices? How do you speak to yourself about yourself? Do you have affirmations that you practice? Things like that. Healing and reflection, making meaning of the heart, journaling, journaling, writing, sharing tea and coffee with friends, and just kind of talking about your experiences, the perseverance that you have, all of the things that you've accomplished so far. And then lastly, growth, taking all of those lessons and evolving it into your next stage of development, making the important changes. So if you know that you do not have positive self-talk, what's one thing that you can say to yourself? If you know that you are, not sleeping well, what's one practice that you can take? If it's a walk or, some getting outside for a few minutes, getting some fresh air, that always helps with the sleep for some reason. But, making changes so that you can show up in the way that you want. And then lastly, I would say, having some healthy boundaries around what you do and don't take. So a boundary that I set for myself, I think it's been about 2 years now, is I do not consume like negative television, podcasts. I gave up all my true crime stuff. I had an epiphany that I was experiencing enough secondary trauma in my daily life and in my work that I didn't need to take on anymore. So when people are like, oh, have you watched? I'm like, if it's a drama, the answer is no. I have not. I have only been watching Bob's Burgers. Okay. I just do not have the capacity for any other seriousness. And it has really, really helped me. So thinking about not only boundaries for other people, but what are some boundaries that you can set for yourself that just help you stay in like grounded in who you are and who you want to be every day. Okay, before we kind of open it up for last minute things, I did want, if everyone could just drop an affirmation in the chat, I would love that. I am whatever it is. If you have an affirmation that you practice, share it with us because I think it would be really helpful. Mine is a song. But I'm just going to put in the very first part. I am healthy. All right. Whatever your ooh, I love that, Elias. All right, let's read these. And I just want to open it up. If anybody has any questions, any comments, any concerns, anything that you share. Ooh, I am who I am meant to be. I love that. If you can't be there for yourself, you can't be there for others. I'm a magical witchy wizard with pizzazz. I have no idea who that is, right? I didn't have to look at the name. I am strong. I am meant for much more. Ooh, Michelle, I love that. I am not the things I have experienced. I am not the things that happened to me. I'm more powerful than I even know. Thank you. I was not made to work my life away. Absolutely. Another one that I always say is just because I think it doesn't mean it's true, because I will have a negative thought about myself and then I have to remember like, thoughts aren't facts. I'm affirmed just by reading these. Me too. I love reading people's affirmations. They really give me so much joy. I am funny. Absolutely. You are, Erin. All right. Keep those coming. All right. Any questions, comments, anything before we close out?
I want to say thank you all for holding this space. I'm going to turn my camera on. Thank you all for holding this space. I was in a mood of like, I don't need that. I'm just going to show up though. And I'm really glad I did because I did need it. Surprise. Thank you. And you all just held all of this so wonderfully. So thank you.
Thanks. Maureen, I want to say thank you so much for sharing your story with us at the beginning and being so vulnerable and honest, and for sharing just ways that you all showed up for each other. I love that.
Thank you.
All right, we have 5 minutes left. What else? I can do hard things. Yes, Maureen, I love that one too.
Tina, I agree. This was great, but I missed the first 20 minutes, so I would love to.
It was
I needed
recorded.
it.
Yeah, you'll
Yeah.
send in a follow-up recording. Yeah, for exactly that reason. We know people are super busy. We want to make sure we're meeting you where you are. So yeah, you'll get a recording of this minus the breakout rooms because that's your own space. And then I'll make sure that we follow up with all of the information that was in the chat, like all the wonderful resources and links that Tina and Andrew shared with us. And Maureen, if we can follow up after this, but if there's ways, that people can get connected to you who might be going through the same thing, looking for that same community, be happy to get folks in touch with Maureen as well. She makes a mean meatball, so if you're into that, that's a great, a great benefit. But yeah, Tina, Andrew, Maureen, thank you so, so, so much. I agree with everybody. I'm always running a million miles a minute, trying to just get through the day, and this really was a much needed break for me, and I'm hopefully for everybody else. So I really appreciate everyone joining us today. If you want to get connected with this type of care, without my involvement, we're not Zoom, but Andrew and Tina are two of our wonderful Replenish trainers, and it's a really incredible experience every time I'm in space with all of you. So thank you, thank you, thank you very much for everybody. And I'll give you back 3 minutes so you can take a minute to breathe and
Purposeful
think about
pause.
things
Purposeful pause before you start your 1 o'clock, okay?
before you
Take a couple deep breaths.
Right. Well, I
Thank you.
appreciate everybody so much.
Oh, thank you.